Next News. Breaking news.
Something bigger than one California race is happening right now. What started as a bizarre vote count in Los Angeles is turning into the national test case for whether Americans can trust elections in the vote-by-mail era. A Republican appears to be pushed out as late ballots keep arriving. State rules allow ballots to be counted days after Election Day. And now even access to key election systems is being locked down unless investigators clear extra hurdles. President Trump is sounding the alarm. Vice President Vance is calling it shady. And the real fight is now moving straight towards the Save America Act. The question is no longer just who won in California. It's whether the system deserves your trust at all. And this is why the story matters so much. The left wants to reduce every election integrity concern to a sneer and a fact-check label. But the problem now is bigger than any one candidate, one county, or one primary. California has become the symbol of what millions of Americans fear most. Ballots floating in for days, signatures barely checked, no voter ID, universal mail voting, ballot harvesting, and voter rolls so loose that critics say even people outside the country can end up in the system. That's not a recipe for confidence. That's a recipe for permanent suspicion. And every extra day, the count drags on. Democrats lose the one thing elections absolutely require: public trust. That's the real battleground here. The Trump administration has been making the same argument across the board: benefits fraud, identity fraud, immigration fraud, system abuse. Verification matters. Now that same principle is colliding head-on with election law. California is the example, but the target is national policy. That's exactly why the Save America Act is suddenly becoming the center of this fight. Now, before we go further, pay attention to this, because confusion in big systems doesn't just hit elections, it hits your wallet too. So pay attention, because if you or someone in your family is on Medicare, this directly affects your wallet. Medicare is confusing by design. The mailers, the robocalls, the fine print, the commercials, all designed to keep you overwhelmed. So you pick a plan and never look at it again. That's the Medicare confusion industrial complex, and seniors are paying for it without even knowing it. Chapter is simple by design: one call, one advisor. They look at your doctors, your prescriptions, and your priorities, then help you compare plans that actually fit. Some seniors could save as much as $1,100 a year. If you want clarity instead of chaos, call Chapter at the number on your screen. Pause the video, write it down, give them a call, 910-728-4109. And get real help from someone who actually works for you. And the same demand for clarity is exactly why this California fight is catching fire nationwide. And this is the twist that should every American paying attention. It's no longer just about what happened after Election Day. It's about what happened right before it. Critics are pointing to a California law signed just before the June primary that says limits unauthorized law enforcement access to voter rolls and a voting system without a court order or a specific state election law basis. Add that to late arriving ballots and a race reversal, and you can see why this stopped being a local story and became a national warning sign. And once people start asking what's being hidden, the entire debate changes. U.S. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, when she was still in the press room, she's of course on maternity leave, says Gavin Newsom is under criminal review for signing up illegal aliens to vote through his criminal conspiracy AB 37 universal mail-in ballots. Look at this for a moment.
Whom and why? And also, in this vein, does the White House still plan to issue an executive order banning mail-in voting, and what legal authority do you have to do that?
The White House is working on an executive order to strengthen our elections in this country and to ensure that there cannot be blatant fraud, as we've seen in California with their universal mail-in voting system. It's absolutely true that there's fraud in California's elections. It's just a fact. It is just a fact. They have a universal mail-in voting system, which we know is ripe for fraud. And if you want to deny that, I'm happy to provide you all of the evidence for it. I'd be glad to send that to you after this briefing.
Rigged.
fraudulent ballots that are being mailed in the names of other people, in the names of illegal aliens who shouldn't be voting in American elections. There's countless examples, and we'd be happy to provide them. As for executive action the White House is taking, yes, we are looking into that. And like any executive order, of course, any executive order the president signs is within his full executive authority and within the confines of the law.
Of course, the media continues to deny that any sort of election fraud ever happens. But she said the White House has the evidence. California's system is built for fraud. Now, Melissa Bailey for Congress lays out the mechanics: no voter ID, ballot harvesting, and late ballots counted anyway. Melissa for New Hampshire.
There is no better case for passing the Save America Act than what is going on with the LA mayoral race. Democrats in California have legalized cheating, and they would love to roll it out across our entire country. No voter ID, mass mail-in ballots, ballots being accepted long after the election. This is the very recipe for corruption. Vote Melissa Bailey for Congress in New Hampshire's 1st District.
So she calls it legalized cheating. Next, the California sheriff steps up with what investigators say they found ballots tied to people outside the country, including one case linked to Pakistan. California sheriff says the elections are being rigged. Your vote in California is being stolen by illegals. They're not even hiding it.
The way the voting system is structured, we see quite a few flaws. You're able to register even if and cast a vote if you don't live in the country, as evident of his brother in Pakistan. And I think we have some evidence of 2 or 3 other people out of the country that voted. Is that correct?
Yeah, approximately 2 or 3 other people out of the country, as well as people residing outside of the district.
Okay. The online voter registration system, it seems to be an honor system. Anybody can put information in there to register to vote. All you have to do is click a box and say that you're not lying, and then you'll get an email from the Secretary of State or something in the mail saying, thank you for registering to vote, and there you are. Once you're on the voter rolls, anytime an election comes around, guess what? You get mailed a ballot, right? You get mailed something to vote. So we found that a little bit problematic.
Problematic is taking it lightly. The sheriff describing a system where anyone can click a box, get on the rolls, and start receiving ballots. Now Steve Hilton zeroes in on the one rule that takes the chaos further: hand-dated mail ballots that can arrive after Election Day and still count. Governor candidate Steve Hilton revealing the stunning reality of California law.
There's one thing that is just extraordinary to anyone watching, which is this mail-in ballot 7 days after the election. The argument is, well, we want maximum participation, so if someone wants to vote on Election Day, we're going to treat sending in a mail ballot the same as if you were voting. That's why we're going to give 7 days for the ballot to arrive. But there's a line in the law that says that actually the proof that you mailed your ballot on or just before Election Day, even if it arrives after Election Day, it's not just the postmark. You can write it. You can handwrite the date.
Wow.
And that counts. It's not. I was talking about this at the last elections. I had a whistleblower from the Postal Service explaining this. So just to be really clear what that means, you can backdate your ballot
by hand.
Counted by hand, and it will be counted. That's how
outrageous.
Insane this system is.
I didn't even know that. That is outrageous. Oh my God. You talk about, listen, congratulations on your ground game. What you have managed to do in California is astounding, really.
Outrageous indeed. California lets ballots be backdated by hand. Next, Nick Shirley shows why people are demanding answers in the LA race with wild betting swings and fresh questions about who's allowed to look under the hood. What's happening in LA is extremely abnormal. How did Spencer Pratt go from a 77% chance of advancing to now a 0.5% chance? California is blocking the feds from checking into the election. Prior to the election, in May, Newsom signed SB 73. The law is law effective immediately before the June 2nd primary, prohibits unauthorized access, disruption, modification, or seizure of voter rolls, voter lists, or certified voting technology by law enforcement, including federal agents, without a court order or specific state election law investigation. So here, this is the Polymarket odds. Look at that. Unreal. So after the questions about transparency and access, Trump cuts right to it. Says Spencer Pratt didn't lose fair and calls the LA runoff what a lot of Americans are already calling it, rigged. Not possible for Spencer Pratt to have lost the LA runoffs after a big lead he had. Third world nation, rigged elections. Now they'll be working on great guy Steve Hilton. Won't have results for possibly 2 weeks, according to officials. So Trump says it looks like a third world nation. Next, Glenn Beck explains why those late counted ballots always seem to break one way and why trust in the system is collapsing.
We are told by Californians just to be patient. This is normal. No, it's not normal. No, one thing you could say about it, it is not normal. In fact, this is a breach of trust that is, it's a little profound. It's a little profound because I think it's going to shake apart the foundations of the republic just a little bit, Imagine this. On election night, votes come in. We see the will of the people, clear as day, in almost every place. But then ballots keep rolling in. Late ones, cured ones. Ballots from God only knows where, verified by signatures that a tired clerk glances at under a fluorescent light and says, yep, that's it. And suddenly the leads shift and the right people win. And it's weird. It's the right people that win every single time. I'm never surprised. The votes come in, and I'm never surprised at who wins. Are you? Wouldn't you think just playing the odds, occasionally you'd be surprised? Now, you don't need to be, a conspiracy theorist to smell the rot here. You just need eyes and a memory longer than yesterday's news cycle, which is hard for.
So he says California keeps telling voters this is normal, but the smell test says otherwise. J.D. Vance gets specific about the L.A. race, the late mail-in ballots, and the absurd ID rules that keep the machine running.
Here with this whole thing is, how is it that you had, Karen Bass was in first place, Spencer Pratt was in second place, and then this other woman was in third place? You would expect these mail-in ballots to kind of meet that same basic pattern where, number one would get the most votes, number two would get the second most votes, and so on. But somehow we find ourselves in a situation where, number one, they're still receiving ballots, not just counting ballots, Jesse, they're still receiving ballots. And number two, the way that they're coming in just so happens to work out such that the Republican is getting kicked out of the final two, so it's a Democrat versus Democrat runoff. That seems pretty shady to me, especially when you add on top of the fact that in California, you are prohibited from asking for somebody's identification before they vote.
We just found out through the U.S. attorney there that you can register to vote with a gym membership card. How ridiculous is that?
Well, and of course, we know that Gold's Gym would probably hand out a gym membership to anybody who's willing to pay, including, for example, an illegal alien. And we joke about this, Jesse, but that's why these elections don't have the legitimacy they need, is because if you're going to give a card to anybody who's willing to pay $10 a month for a gym membership, then you're not actually going to ensure that person is legitimately able to vote. This is why we have, for example, photo ID to get on an airplane so that airplane rides are safe. This is why we have photo ID to purchase alcohol to ensure that you're the proper age. It's insane that we have a state not only that doesn't ask for your identification, but will throw you in jail if you're an elections official who is asking for identification.
So you're the...
So J.D. Vance laying it out right there. So let's put the whole picture together, okay? Steve Hilton says California allows handwritten dates on late mail ballots. The sheriff says the online voter registration system runs on an honor system, vulnerable to abuse, including alleged ballots tied to people outside the country. Caroline Levitt says the White House has evidence of fraudulent ballots and is working to strengthen election security. J.D. Vance says the ballot flow that knocked a Republican out of the final two looks shady on its face. This is why the Save America Act is becoming the vehicle for a national election trust movement. The core argument is simple. Citizenship should be verified, identity should be verified, and results should be timely enough that the public can actually believe them. In other words, the Trump administration's broader message is now hitting elections with full force. Verification matters because trust matters. So President Trump, he was right to call this out. The left is panicking because they know the debate is moving into terrain that they hate. Proof, verification, citizenship, transparency, and timelines the public can actually understand. The old Democrat playbook was to treat every election security question like an attack on democracy, but Americans are done with being lectured while counts drag on and rules get looser and confidence gets weaker. California may be the battlefield, but the real fight is over the future rules of American elections. Do we want a system where anybody can just trust the process blindly, or a system where the process earns trust through standards that are clear, secure, and enforced? That's why the Save America Act matters, and that's why the story matters. If you believe voter ID, citizenship verification, and timely election results are just common sense, share this video. Subscribe to the channel and drop your answer below. Should Congress pass the Save America Act, yes or no? And most importantly, let's stay connected. Thousands of patriots have already texted the words raw feed to 844-840-4963. We're bypassing the middleman, cutting them out completely, going direct to you from Next News Network right to your phone, making sure you get the notifications for the news that you depend on. So make sure you take action like thousands of patriots before you. And also take action and celebrate America 250 with Next News. We've got some new merch below this video, or you can go to shop.nextnewsnetwork.com, pick up something you like, and let's celebrate together.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now. You know out.